It's been 48 years since this movie came out, and at that time, watching it felt magical. It was funny, charming, just wonderful. And even now it does, perhaps even more. Despite its technical limitations, this movie has a big, warm, beating heart in it as no other Superman has managed to get, in my opinion. We all know the big S, we've hummed that John Williams theme. Some of these facts are going to make you want to pull out that dusty DVD and watch it tonight with completely new eyes. So if you want to know how did they manage to make the first human fly almost 50 years ago, strap in, because we're about to go up and away through 20 incredible details about this wonderful movie. Number 1. Christopher Reeve was completely unknown and almost didn't get the role. Let's start with the most important casting decision in superhero movie history. Christopher Reeve was a nobody, a theater actor with essentially zero film credits when he auditioned for Superman. The studio wanted a big name, someone who could carry a massive $55 million production. They pursued Robert Redford, who turned it down. They chased Burt Reynolds, who passed. Sylvester Stallone was considered. James Caan was offered the role. Even Muhammad Ali campaigned for it. The list of actors who were approached is absolutely wild. Director Richard Donner saw over 200 actors for the part, and none of them felt right. Then Christopher Reeve walked into the audition, and something magical happened. He was 6'4", classically handsome, but more importantly, he understood the duality of the character. Donner has said that Reeve could shift between Clark Kent and Superman just by changing his posture and his voice. It was like watching two completely different people, but the studio executives weren't convinced. They thought he was too young, too inexperienced, too risky. Donner had to fight like hell to get Reeve cast, and thank God he did, because it's impossible to imagine anyone else in that role. Reeve didn't just play Superman, he became Superman, creating a portrayal so definitive that every actor who's played the character since is compared to him. Number 2, Marlon Brando was paid $3.7 million for 12 days of work. Marlon Brando, playing Jor-El, Superman's father, worked for just 12 days on set and was paid $3.7 million. That's over $300,000 per day. To put that in perspective, the entire special effects budget was around $3 million. One actor got paid more than all the flying effects, all the miniatures, all the wire work combined. And here's the kicker. Brando didn't even want to learn his lines. He had his dialogue written on cue cards placed around the set, sometimes even on baby Kal-El's diaper, so he could read them during takes. He also pitched bizarre ideas like playing Jor-El as a bagel or a green suitcase, arguing that advanced aliens wouldn't need humanoid form. Donner had to diplomatically talk him out of these concepts. But despite all the chaos and expense, Brando's presence legitimized the film. Having one of the greatest actors in cinema history added credibility to what could have been dismissed as just a comic book movie. His scenes on Krypton, especially the farewell to baby Kal-El, are genuinely moving. Brando brought Shakespearean weight to science fiction, and his involvement signaled that this was serious filmmaking. Number 3, the movie was shot simultaneously with Superman 2, back-to-back as one massive production. The original plan was to shoot both films together, release them separately, and essentially get 2 movies for the price of one. This was unprecedented in Hollywood at the time. Richard Donner directed both, shooting for over a year straight, creating this enormous sprawling production that pushed everyone to their limits. They'd film scenes for the first movie one day, then switch to scenes for the sequel the next. The logistics were insane, maintaining continuity across 2 different stories, keeping the cast and crew motivated through this marathon shoot. But then the producers had a falling out with Donner and fired him, bringing in Richard Lester to reshoot much of Superman 2. But that original vision, Donner shooting both films as one epic saga, was incredibly ambitious and showed the confidence everyone had in this material. Number 4, Christopher Reeve did his own stunts and nearly died. Christopher Reeve was incredibly committed to making Superman feel real, and that meant doing many of his own stunts, which almost killed him on multiple occasions. The flying sequences weren't just movie magic. They involved Reeve being suspended on wires dozens of feet in the air, often spinning and swooping at high speeds. During one flying sequence, a wire snapped and Reeve plummeted toward the ground before safety cables caught him just in time. He was shaken but insisted on continuing. Another time, during the helicopter rescue scene above Metropolis, strong winds made the wire rig extremely unstable, swinging Reeve around violently while he was suspended high above the street set. The physical toll was enormous. He'd end each day bruised, exhausted, and in pain from the harnesses cutting into his body. But Reeve understood that if the flying didn't look and feel real, the entire movie would collapse. He endured the discomfort and danger because he believed in the film and in the character. That commitment shows on screen. When Superman flies, you believe it, you feel it. The grace and power in those flight scenes exist because Reeve was willing to put his body through hell to achieve them. Just a reminder of the hard work movie stunts go through. Number 5. The tagline, "You'll believe a man can fly," was the entire mission. The marketing tagline, "You'll believe a man can fly," wasn't just advertising copy. It was the mission statement for the entire production. Everything about this film was designed to make flight convincing, before any of the technology we take for granted now. Making a man fly realistically was considered impossible by many in the industry. The special effects team, led by Derek Meddings and Colin Chilvers, had to invent new techniques from scratch. They used a combination of wire work, front projection, miniatures, and careful camera work. They built elaborate rigs that could simulate every type of flight. Reeve was filmed against blue screens, then composited into background plates. For close-ups during flight, they'd have Reeve on a special apparatus that let him move his arms and body naturally while appearing to fly. For wide shots, they sometimes used a miniature Superman figure so detailed and well-crafted that it's nearly impossible to tell when they're using it. The innovation was incredible, and it all worked. When Superman takes off for the first time, when he catches Lois falling from the helicopter when he flies around the world, you believe it. The tagline delivered on its promise. This was 1978. Number 6. Gene Hackman refused to shave his mustache. Gene Hackman, playing Lex Luthor, had one unusual contract to demand. He refused to shave his mustache. Lex Luthor is bald in the comics, and obviously, Hackman agreed to wear a bald cap for most of his scenes, but he drew the line at shaving his signature mustache. The producers tried to convince him, arguing that Luthor doesn't have a mustache in the source material, but Hackman was adamant, so they compromised. Gene Hackman only accepted when Richard Donner promised to do the same. Hackman brought a playful, theatrical energy to Lex Luthor that was different from the cold, calculating businessman version we'd see in later adaptations. His Luthor is flamboyant, egotistical, and surprisingly funny. Hackman plays him as a genius who's also a bit of a showman, someone who monologues and schemes with theatrical flair. It's a performance that walks the line between menacing and campy, and it works perfectly for the tone Donner was establishing. Number 7. The Krypton set cost over $500,000. The opening Krypton sequence, which lasts maybe 20 minutes of screen time, cost over $500,000 to build and film, a massive portion of the budget for what's essentially the prologue. But Donner and production designer John Barry understood that Krypton had to feel alien, advanced, and real. They created this crystalline world, all white and gleaming, with an ice palace aesthetic that suggested a civilization so advanced it transcended traditional technology. The set was enormous, built at Pinewood Studios in England, with massive crystal structures, elaborate costumes for the Kryptonian Council, and complex lighting to make everything shimmer and glow. Marlon Brando's costume alone was incredibly detailed, designed to look both regal and otherworldly. The production didn't cut corners. Every element was meticulously crafted, and it paid off. The Krypton sequence doesn't feel like a cheesy sci-fi B-movie. It feels epic, tragic, and real. When Jor-El sends his only son to Earth, you feel the weight of that sacrifice. The emotional resonance of Superman's origin story depends on Krypton feeling like a real place with real stakes, and that set design accomplished exactly that. Number 8. Glenn Ford's Pa Kent was originally supposed to survive. In early script drafts, Jonathan Pa Kent wasn't supposed to die. He was going to survive and be a recurring presence in Clark's life, offering wisdom and guidance. But Donner and the writers realized that Pa Kent's death was essential to Clark's development. It's the moment where Clark learns the most important lesson of his life, that despite all his incredible powers, he can't save everyone. He can't prevent natural death. He can't control everything. But Kent dies of a heart attack while young Clark watches helplessly, and it's this profound loss that shapes Superman's worldview. He'll spend the rest of his life trying to save people, trying to prevent others from experiencing the loss he felt. Glenn Ford's performance in those Smallville scenes is masterful. He plays Pa Kent with such warmth, such quiet dignity and wisdom. The scene where he tells Clark, "You are here for a reason," gives me chills every time. Ford brings a gravitas that makes you understand why Clark grows up to be such a good man. Pa Kent's death was the right narrative choice, as heartbreaking as it is, because it gives Superman his moral foundation. Number 9. Superman's costume was redesigned 40 times. Creating the perfect Superman costume was an obsessive process that went through over 40 different design iterations. The challenge was enormous. The costume needed to honor the comic book design that everyone knew, but translate it to live action without looking silly or cheap. Early test costumes were disasters. Some made Reeve look ridiculous, like he was wearing pajamas. Others were too bulky, restricting his movement. The colors were wrong, the textures didn't work. The cape didn't flow right. Costume designer Yvonne Blake worked tirelessly to solve these problems. The final costume used a unique fabric that had texture and depth that caught light in interesting ways. The colors were carefully calibrated. The blue had to be the right shade, the red needed to pop, the yellow belt had to stand out. The S-shield was three-dimensional, giving it weight and presence. The cape was made from a special material that would flow dramatically during flying scenes. Even the boots went through multiple versions, and perhaps most importantly, the costume had to make Christopher Reeve look heroic and powerful. They added subtle padding to enhance his physique, creating the illusion of the perfect superhero body. The result is the definitive Superman costume, the one every subsequent version is judged against. Number 10. The time reversal ending was controversial even then. Let's talk about that ending, where Superman flies around the Earth so fast that he reverses time, preventing Lois Lane's death. Even in 1978, this was controversial, and now it is still one of the most controversial decisions in cinema. Some audience members loved it, finding it romantic and emotionally satisfying. Others thought it was a cheat, a deus ex machina that undermined the entire story. Critics were divided. The thing is, this wasn't the original ending. Originally, the time reversal ending was meant for Superman 2, where Superman would reverse time to undo the destruction caused by the Kryptonian villains. But when they split the production and reworked the films, they moved that ending to the first movie. Donner defended the choice, arguing that Superman's love for Lois would drive him to break the rules, to do the one thing his father told him never to do, interfere with human history. It's a moment where Superman chooses his personal feelings over his responsibility, and then immediately has to deal with the consequences. From a pure storytelling perspective, it's problematic. If Superman can just reverse time, why doesn't he do it all the time? But emotionally, it works. We want Lois to live. We want love to triumph. The ending satisfies our hearts even if it troubles our minds. Number 11. Jeff East's voice was dubbed by Christopher Reeve. Here's something most people never notice. Jeff East, who plays teenage Clark Kent in the Smallville sequences, had his entire voice performance dubbed by Christopher Reeve. East is a fine actor and did all the physical work, but Donner and the producers felt his voice didn't match Reeve's. They wanted vocal continuity between teenage Clark and adult Clark. So, in post-production, Reeve came in and re-recorded all of teenage Clark's dialogue, matching it to East's lip movements. It's a seamless job. Most viewers have no idea they're hearing Reeve's voice coming out of East's body. This attention to detail, this commitment to continuity and believability characterizes the entire production. Nothing was left to chance. Every element was scrutinized and perfected. East has spoken about this in interviews, and while he was initially disappointed, he understood the creative reasoning. The result is that young Clark and adult Clark feel like the same person, which strengthens the character's emotional journey. Number 12. The opening credits sequence took 6 months to create. That spectacular opening credits sequence, where the names fly through space, whoosh past planets, and hurtle toward Earth, took 6 months to create and was cutting-edge visual effects for its time. The team used a technique called slit-scan photography, the same method Douglas Trumbull pioneered for 2001, A Space Odyssey. They'd move the camera through a specially designed rig while photographing illuminated text, creating that sense of streaking through space at impossible speeds. Combined with John Williams' soaring fanfare, the opening credits became an event unto themselves. Audiences would literally applaud in theaters when the credits finished and the movie proper began. The sequence does crucial work. It prepares you for something epic, something beyond normal cinema. It says, you're about to see something you've never seen before. The integration of the credits with cosmic imagery, the way the names seem to travel from Krypton to Earth, mirrors Superman's own journey. It's not just credits, it's storytelling. Those 6 months of painstaking work created one of the most iconic opening sequences in film history, one that's been homaged and referenced countless times since. Number 13. When Lex Luthor's plan involves triggering an earthquake along the San Andreas Fault to sink California and make his desert land beachfront property, the production used real geological survey maps and data. They consulted with seismologists to understand how earthquakes work, what the realistic effects would be, how fault lines operate. This scientific accuracy grounds the supervillain plot in reality. Yes, Luthor's scheme is outrageous, but it's based on actual geology. The earthquake sequence itself is spectacular. Buildings crumbling, the ground splitting open, cars falling into crevices, dams breaking. These effects combined miniatures, matte paintings, stunt work, and practical effects. No CGI, remember. Everything you see was created physically. The chaos and destruction feel real because they are real. Donner wanted the stakes to be clear. Millions of lives are at risk. Superman isn't just stopping a bank robbery, he's preventing a catastrophe. The scale of the disaster makes Superman's heroism meaningful. And using real geological data added authenticity that makes the threat feel more immediate and terrifying. Number 14. There was a deleted scene of baby Kal-El's journey to Earth. In the original cut, there was an extended sequence showing baby Kal-El's journey through space from Krypton to Earth. The spacecraft would travel past different planets and stellar phenomena, with Jor-El's recorded voice educating his son about the universe. It was visually spectacular, but ultimately cut for pacing reasons. The scene was meant to emphasize the vast distance Kal-El traveled, the loneliness of his journey, and to provide more of Jor-El's teaching. But test audiences felt it slowed down the narrative too much. They wanted to get to Earth to see young Clark growing up. Donner made the difficult choice to trim it significantly, keeping just enough to show the journey without dwelling on it. This deleted footage has been partially restored in various special editions over the years, and it's fascinating to watch. The special effects are beautiful, and Brando's voiceover adds depth to the father-son relationship. But the theatrical cut's choice to move quickly from Krypton's destruction to the Kansas farm was probably the right narrative decision. Number 15. Richard Donner fought to keep the tone serious. Richard Donner had to constantly battle against studio executives who wanted Superman to be campy and silly, more like the 1960s Batman TV series. The executives worried that audiences wouldn't take a man in a cape seriously, that the material was inherently ridiculous and should be played for laughs. But Donner had a different vision. He wanted to treat Superman with respect, to play it straight, to make audiences believe in the reality of this world, making the impossible seem real. Donner insisted on real locations, practical effects whenever possible, grounded performances, emotional authenticity. He told the actors to play their characters as if this was a drama, not a comedy. The humor in the film comes from character and situation, not from winking at the audience or mocking the source material. This approach was revolutionary for superhero films. Before Superman, comic book adaptations were either serials or camp. Donner proved you could take the genre seriously and audiences would respond. His fight to maintain that tone is why Superman still works today, while campier superhero films from the era feel dated. Number 16. The production shut down 3 times due to injuries. The physical demands and technical complexity of Superman led to multiple production shutdowns due to cast and crew injuries. Christopher Reeve's various wire work injuries have been mentioned, but crew members were also hurt. Stunt performers suffered broken bones during action sequences. A camera operator fell from a rig and was hospitalized. During the earthquake sequences, falling debris, even though it was lightweight balsa wood and foam, injured several people when safety protocols failed. Richard Donner himself was nearly crushed when a piece of the Krypton set partially collapsed during filming. The production had to halt filming 3 separate times to allow people to recover and to implement better safety measures. Today's film sets have much stricter safety regulations, partly because of productions like Superman that pushed boundaries and discovered dangers the hard way. The commitment to practical effects and real stunts created incredible footage, but at significant human cost. Everyone involved knew they were making something unprecedented, something that required risk, but the injuries were sobering reminders of the real dangers inherent in making movie magic. Number 17. The film's release was delayed multiple times. Superman was originally scheduled for release in mid-1978, but production delays and post-production complexity pushed it back repeatedly. The special effects took longer than expected. The team was inventing techniques as they went, solving problems that had never been encountered before. The editing process was extensive, with 3 editors working to shape hundreds of hours of footage into a coherent narrative. The sound design required months of work. The visual effects shots needed careful integration. Each delay increased costs and studio anxiety, but also allowed the filmmakers to get everything right. The film finally premiered in December 1978, deliberately scheduled for the Christmas season to maximize box office potential. The delays turned out to be a blessing. The film was as polished and complete as possible, and the Christmas release timing meant families went to see it together during the holidays. The word of mouth was phenomenal, with audiences telling friends they had to see this movie. Superman became the gift that kept giving at the box office. Number 18. Superman's I-beam effects were created with animation, the heat vision effects. Those beams of red energy Superman shoots from his eyes were created using traditional hand-drawn animation, painted frame by frame onto the film. An optical effects artist would watch the footage of Christopher Reeve staring intensely, then draw the red beams on clear cells, matching the eye position perfectly in each frame. This hand-drawn animation, it's painstaking, time-consuming work that required both artistic skill and technical precision. If the beams weren't positioned exactly right, if they didn't track perfectly with Reeve's eye movements, the effect would look cheap and fake. But the artists nailed it. Superman's heat vision looks powerful and real. The beams have intensity and weight. When Superman uses his heat vision to weld metal or blast through obstacles, you believe in the power. This combination of live-action performance, practical effects, and traditional animation exemplifies the craftsmanship of pre-digital filmmaking. Everything was done by hand by artists and technicians who'd spent years perfecting their crafts. Number 19. John Williams conducted the score with the London Symphony Orchestra. John Williams didn't just compose the Superman score. He personally conducted the London Symphony Orchestra during the recording sessions at Anvil Studios in England. Williams is one of the greatest film composers in history, and his conducting style is dynamic and expressive, drawing passionate performances from musicians. The Superman score required a massive orchestra, over 100 musicians playing together. The main theme alone uses full brass, soaring strings, powerful percussion, creating that overwhelming sense of heroism and majesty. Williams worked closely with Richard Donner, spotting the film, deciding where music should appear and what emotional tone it should carry, and then composing themes for different characters and situations. The Krypton theme is alien and ethereal. The Smallville theme is pastoral and American. The love theme is romantic and tender. The action music is propulsive and exciting. Williams created a complete musical universe that supports and enhances every moment. The recording sessions were legendary. Musicians have recalled the energy in the room, the sense that they were creating something historic. When the orchestra first played through the main theme, people got chills. They knew it was special. Number 20. The Lois and Superman flight scene almost didn't happen. That magical sequence where Superman takes Lois flying over Metropolis while she recites her internal monologue poem. It almost got cut from the film. Some producers thought it was too long, too slow, too romantic for an action movie. They argued that it stopped the momentum, that audiences would get bored. But Richard Donner fought passionately to keep it, and he was absolutely right. That scene is the emotional heart of the film. It's where the romance between Lois and Superman crystallizes, where we see the world through her eyes, where the impossibility of their love becomes achingly clear. Margot Kidder's voiceover, combined with John Williams' soaring romantic theme and the gorgeous visuals of flying over the city, creates pure cinema magic. It's a moment of wonder and intimacy in a film full of spectacle. The scene also serves a crucial narrative purpose. It shows why Superman is willing to break the rules to save Lois, why her death affects him so profoundly. Without this scene, the emotional stakes of the ending don't work. Donner understood that superhero movies need heart, need romance, need moments of pure feeling alongside the action. And there you have it. 20 incredible facts about Superman. From the near impossible technical challenges to the perfect casting, from the revolutionary effects to the timeless performances, every element came together to create something truly special. This movie didn't just entertain. It inspired generations, launched a genre, and gave us a symbol of hope that still resonates today. Now, if you loved this deep dive, you absolutely need to check out these 20 insane details about Scarface that'll completely change how you watch that movie, and subscribe if you want more deep dives into classic movies. As always, thanks for watching, and remember, the world always needs heroes. I'll see you in the next one.